Writing a Literature Review. Presentation by the Athens State University Writing Center. Imagine that you are invited to a dinner party. You arrive late, so others are already there and mingling. Guests have drifted to separate corners of the room, so you begin circulating around to say hello to everyone. As you do, you listen in for a while to see what everyone is talking about. As you walk up to one group, you don't interrupt right away. You listen first so you can get caught up. At first, you don't say anything, but eventually they ask what you think. So you chime in with your opinion and they respond to you. At some point, you excuse yourself because another friend has called you over. But before you can give your opinion about their topic, you listen as this group brings you up to speed on what has already been said. This continues throughout the night. You move in and out of different conversation circles, listening first, then responding, then listening again before moving on. Now imagine that one of your friends arrives. You greet him at the door and immediately bring him up to speed, pointing out who is already there, who everyone is, where they're standing, and what the hot topics are for the night. As you explain everything, you weave your version of the story together in such a way as to help your friend know not only what the topics are, but where the arguments and disagreements are as well. Of course, you have your opinions, so you emphasize those comments that support your point of view while also sharing what others have said that you disagree with. You pick and choose what to tell, sharing only what seems important to you because you want your friend to see how all the varying opinions compare to one another. You also want him to see where the gaps are and where some information is missing. When you're done, your friend doesn't just have a summary of each group's conversation, he has an understanding of what you consider to be most important about the conversations in the room and where the unresolved issues are. If this scenario sounds at all or in any way familiar, then you have an idea what a literature review is. What you should understand is that whatever topic you choose to write your research on or to research, it has been studied before, written about, and perhaps even debated already. So your first step is to see what others have said. You're not looking for sources that are saying what you are saying. You're looking to see what is being said. Your goal is to listen and compare the different perspectives. That is actually the purpose of a literature review. It's nothing more than your summary of several sources who are discussing an unresolved issue or problem, some topic around which there are varying and contrasting opinions. Your summaries show what is known and unknown about the issue or problem and brings attention to the questions or problems that you find have not been sufficiently resolved by the current conversation. Now, ironically, the first step to writing the literature review is not writing at all, but reading. Remember when you came late to the dinner party? You had to listen first to hear what others were saying. That's what reading is. You will read and take note of what the sources for your topic have said in the articles, websites, or books that you read. And you will take note of the questions that no one has answered. Now, I must remind you that sources are people. So the question is, who is the person or group of people who created this source that you are reading? Who do they represent? And what was this created for? Knowing this will help you to know how this source or these sources contribute to the conversation about this issue. Also, it's important to think about the role that each of your sources plays in contributing to your understanding of the topic. Does your source provide you with background information? Does it provide you with evidence that something is true? Does it provide you a perspective on the subject, an argument for or against something? Or does this source propose a theory or method for understanding the subject? Once you understand the different points of view, you are able to tell us, the friends who are coming to the party after you. That's summary. But you also have an opinion about the conversation. So your retelling also includes the questions that you have about what no one at the party is talking about. The purpose of the literature review is to show what is still needed. You will establish the key questions or problems that you will address and attempt to answer in your research project based on the questions that remain after your reading and note taking. Speaking of taking notes, here's an example of how to take good notes when you're writing and working on your literature review and your research project. Notice on the left, the source information is included in the note taking. All of the things that would be needed on a works cited page are here: the author's name, the title, the publication information. And then to the right, there is a summary of each of the sources. In your own notes, summarize what the main point of the article or chapter or website is that you have read. That way, from your notes, you can then write, and you have everything you need for the completed project as well. You may be wondering what a literature review looks like. Literature reviews are really just a synthesis of sources around a common topic. Here is an example of a synthesis of a couple of sources around a topic. However, I want you to notice something about this particular example. It makes an attempt to synthesize sources, but there's a problem. Parents are always trying to find ways to encourage healthy eating in their children. That is the topic, seemingly, of this paragraph. Then there is a reference to this source. Elena Pearl Ben Joseph, a doctor and writer for kids' health, encourages parents to be role models for their children by not dieting or vocalizing concerns about their body image. The first popular diet began in 1863. William Banting named it the Banting diet after himself, and it consisted of eating fruits, vegetables, meat, and dry wine. Despite the fact that dieting has been around for over 150 years, parents should not diet because it hinders children's understanding of healthy eating. What is the problem here? All of this information is somewhat related, but there is not a clear relationship between each of the things that's included here. The first sentence indicates a point of view, and then the sentence after it provides information that is related but not connected to the point. The goal of a synthesis and what you're doing in a lit review is not to just compare, is not to just to have the sources sitting side by side one another, but rather to show the relationship between them. Let's try again. Here's another example. This time, we'll read the topic sentence and notice the way in which the supporting sentences are connected to the point that this writer is trying to make. It says, parents are always trying to find ways to encourage healthy eating in their children. Different scientists and educators have different strategies for promoting a well-rounded diet while still encouraging body positivity in children. David R. Just and Joseph Price suggest in their article, using incentives to encourage healthy eating in children, that children are more likely to eat fruits and vegetables if they are given a reward. Similarly, Elena Pearl Ben Joseph, a doctor and writer for kids' health, encourages parents to be role models for their children. She states that parents who are always dieting or complaining about their bodies may foster these same negative feelings in their kids. Try to keep a positive approach about food. Martha J. Nepper and Wei Win Chai support Ben Joseph's suggestions in their article, Parents' Barriers and Strategies to Promote Healthy Eating Among School-Age Children. Nepper and Chai note that parents felt that patience, consistency, educating themselves on proper nutrition, and having more healthy foods available in the home were important strategies when developing healthy eating habits for their children. By following some of these ideas, parents can help their children develop healthy eating habits while still maintaining body positivity. So, in this example, the author puts different sources in conversation with one another. Rather than simply describing the content of the sources in order, the author uses transitions like similarly and makes the relationship between the sources evident. This is an example of what you should be doing in a literature review. Also, you should know that you may have to read more than you actually use in your literature review. You will synthesize those sources that speak to your key question, whatever the main point is that you are trying to make. And so, discard any sources that may be somewhat related to the topic, but digress or move you away from the issue that you're trying to draw attention to. Writing a literature review is not difficult, but it does take time, and the Writing Center is here to help. Give us a call or send us an email and let us help you get started.